Hey guys, today we are in the book of Genesis chapter 10. Now, reading this, you will probably thinking, what in the world am I reading? To be honest, some of the things that we read is just, we have to be faithful to God's word. We have to read through it. All of God's word is important. It's learning as we read what is important, and to be able to pick out to take such chapters of this, of nothing but genealogies, and try to ask ourselves, or maybe even ask God, why is this in there, right? And so let me try to help you understand why chapter 10 is in the Bible. So chapter 9, they come off the boat, off the ark, they build an altar, they continue to live. And chapter 10 is just basically the sons of Noah start to have kids, and they have kids, and they have kids, and they give us a genealogy of those kids. And so there's a lot of names in here, but there's just a couple I want to point out to maybe bring some clarity why chapter 10 is in the Bible. Verse 2, it says the sons of Japeth. Okay, so we have Japeth, which was one of the sons. And we can see here that the sons of Japeth has sons Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Javan. All right. If you were to go through, if we had enough time, we could go through every name and I could tell you where these people lived. But I'm just going to do this in kind of regions, right? So the sons of Japeth are kind of covering India to Western Europe. Okay, so go from India to modern day Western Europe. And so Gomer is in Germany, Magog is in Russia, Madai is Iran or Iraq, also known as the Medes. And then we got Javan, which is the Greeks. And you can kind of break down even more into their kids and even kind of subsect these countries. We see in verse 6, the sons of Ham is Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Now, this goes from Africa to what we would say today is the Far East. Cush is what we would call Babylon, or even northern West Africa, so kind of Ethiopia to Babylon area. We have Egypt, which of course is still named Egypt today. Put, which is Libya, or kind of the North Africa region. And then you have Canaan, which is what we would call today modern Israel. So it's not Israelites, it's not Hebrews, but it's the people who lived there before the book of Joshua, where they took over the promised land, right? But there's one thing I want to point out here. If you read verse 8, it says, Cush followed Nimrod, and he was first on earth to be a mighty man. Now, we're going to learn more about Nimrod tomorrow. Maybe some of you think that's a great name for your teenager son, right? Nimrod, it's a good name. But Nimrod was a mighty man. This term, mighty man, doesn't mean that he was a mighty man in a good way. He was actually a bad and wicked man. And we'll see that more in Monday's reading in chapter 11. But he was a mighty man, or what we would call today a ruler of mans. It also says he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Once again, this is not a good thing. The phrase mighty hunter before the Lord means to bring offense to God. He was a hunter in a way that brings offense to God. So he was probably killing and slaughtering animals in the way in which he told Noah not to do. Okay, but we'll get more into that into chapter 11. Verse 21, we see the sons of Sham, which was Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram, right? So Elam is Persia, Asher is Assyria, Arpachshad is what we would call is Israel. Hebrews, we'll see in just a couple chapters, Abraham comes out of this line, okay? So Abraham comes out of this. Hebrews, Lud is Asia Minor, Turkey area region, and then Aram is Armenian, and so kind of that region. So here we can see in the genealogy, not just the descendants of a lot of people, but we can tell on a map that not only was there a lot of people, but they truly did spread out. They truly did be fruitful and multiplied. So they kind of started to cover the world at this point. And we can see in verse 32, and from these nations spread about the earth after the flood. After the flood, they go and they go and they go to continuing to increase in the world. Now, you would ask yourself, where is Jesus in all of this? Well, I told you yesterday that from Sham, Jesus would come. And if you were to turn to Luke chapter 3, you see the genealogy of Jesus, of Mary, and you will be able to, if you go to the bottom of that genealogy in Luke chapter 3, you will start to see a lot of the same names. You'll start to see Arpachshad, Shelah, Eber, and Peleg. And so you'll start to see a lot of names. And so we can see from the genealogy of chapter 10, as we continue to go on, we'll start to build the genealogy of the Messiah that is to come, so that when he comes and Matthew and Luke gives us these genealogies, we can trace those all the way back through the Old Testament, all the way back to the garden where God took and told Satan, as he was cursing him, that a seed would come from a woman, and that would be from Eve. And so we can trace that all the way back. So from the beginning, Jesus was the main idea. Hope that makes sense, and we will see you next time in chapter 11. God bless.